This is a debrief of day 47 of my GMAT prep. I am exactly 6 days away from my final GMAT exam. In this video, I will share my performance and learnings from taking the official GMAT practice exam number 2 from MBA.com. If you have been following me, you know that this was my second attempt on this practice exam. I previously took this exam on day 17 of my GMAT prep and scored 705, which is a 99th percentile score. As I've mentioned in several of my videos before, you must make conscious effort not to accidentally memorize any questions from a practice exam when you're taking it for the first time. This is very important because it allows you to take that same practice exam for a second time and get a clean read of how your score is trending. When I took this practice exam today, I was surprised by every single question because I had no memory of having solved any of those questions before. With that said, let me talk about how I did today. My score on this practice exam was 735, which is a 100th percentile score. My section-wise scores in percentile terms were 94th percentile on quant, 96th percentile on verbal, and 99th percentile on data insights. Overall, this is a meaningful improvement not only from the last time I took this practice exam, but also in comparison to the 3 practice exams I have taken over the last 2 days. This is the second time through the course of my GMAT prep that I have hit a 100th percentile score on any practice exam. On the quant section, I answered one question incorrectly. This was question 8. The mistake was purely a result of me making a judgment call without writing things down. If I had simply insisted on writing each of the steps required to solve the question, I am confident that I would have been able to answer that question right. As you will notice from my question by question statistics, I did reasonably well with time management on this section today, and there was no reason for me to not spend a few extra seconds on this question. This is just a reminder on one of the most important principles for the quant section, which is write things down. One small thing that I want to mention is that at the end of each section on the GMAT, you will get 60 seconds to indicate whether you want to take a break or move on to the next section of the test. If you plan to move on to the next section of the test, my suggestion is that you use those 60 seconds to wipe your whiteboard and make whatever mental shifts you need to make to get ready for the next section. On the verbal section, I made 2 errors. One on a critical reasoning question and another on a reading comprehension question. I answered the reading comprehension question incorrectly simply because I could not retain the various pieces of information which were required to answer that question correctly. Obviously, if I had significant time on my hands, I could have reread the passage and answered this question right. But that is not a luxury that you will have during the exam. So mistakes like this can happen even on your best days. On the critical reasoning question, I actually spent more than 2 minutes, but I still could not get it right. This is simply because the content of the question got muddled in my head. Once again, this is an error which is very hard to predict or avoid on the exam. It comes down to the kind of questions you are getting. If you are lucky, the content of the questions you get will suit your thought patterns, and that will make it easy for you to answer them right more often than not. On the data insight sections, I made 2 errors, both on data sufficiency questions. I got close to answering both of these questions correctly, but I ended up making minor misses, which were avoidable. Specifically, thinking about the questions qualitatively instead of quantitatively would have helped me arrive at answers faster. Note that it is very hard to always identify the most optimal path to solve a question in the middle of an exam. So some degree of volatility in your accuracy is unavoidable. Overall, I did well on this practice exam. The biggest positive was that I was able to solve all questions on the data insight section within the given time frame. This is an indication that some of my learnings on improving velocity on data insights are working as intended. The biggest learning is that I need to do my best to avoid errors on the quant section. So that is all for today. I will catch you in the next video.